Now, let's go to Queensland, where, of course, we told you last night about the $200 million political stunt that has now been shut down, that being the quarantine centre in Toowoomba. But, of course, the Premier of that state is none other than Annastacia Palaszczuk, Queen Palaszczuk, as we call her here, and she is the most successful Australian female politician of all time. So the crown fits, and she may well win the next election. But one hopes not, because the reality of Annastacia Palaszczuk and her government is it's way different than the spin that is often so easily repeated by the media in Queensland, particularly in the world of health. Now, the current health minister is the former Attorney General. The former Attorney General, just before she became the health minister, wanted to introduce laws into the parliament that would make it a crime for me to be able to come on TV and tell you if there was a candidate at a Queensland election who was being investigated for corruption offences. And we heard one thing over and over again from what seems to be a successful political machine there in Queensland.
Keep Queensland safe. To keep your family safe, it's safe. Keeping Queenslanders safe. Queenslanders safe. You should feel very safe. Keeping Queenslanders safe. This is safe. All we're trying to do is keep Queenslanders safe.
Well, we knew it was garbage then and it's garbage now. In fact, Queenslanders are in a world of pain right now, literally, when it comes to dealing with the health system. Now, in Victoria, they were able to have a scenario where 33 people died because the 000 system didn't work and the government got re-elected. We keep being told that health is a high priority for voters. Well, let's see again in the Queensland election in about 18 months' time. But the Courier Mail has got an insight into just how bad the system is right now. 25% increase in the amount of ramping that's happened since Annastacia Palaszczuk became the Premier. What does that mean? Ramping is when you call 000, if you get an ambulance, it takes you to the hospital, but you don't get out of the ambulance until there's space for you in the hospital. There's been an increase by 25% of the number of people who sit in the back of an ambulance waiting for treatment, sitting out the front of a Queensland hospital. As we also told you last night, the Royal Brisbane Women's Hospital, they're now in a scenario where, because of staff shortages, they're booting people out as soon as they possibly can to free up beds. It's all part of a picture that the Courier Mail and their great editor, Chris Jones, is putting some effort into here, which is about their health system. Now, we keep being told that health matters to people. If it does, please remember this when you vote. Sick Queenslanders are languishing in ballooning elective surgery lists, with the number of patients waiting longer than clinically recommended doubling from 10% of people in 2021 to 22% of people in December 2022. Now, you would think that with a hospital system where people are waiting in ambulances 25% more than they did when you became the Premier, or when youth crime is as rampant as it currently is, you wouldn't want to be seen to be doing anything but focusing on the big issues. But this is Queen Palaszczuk. She can do whatever she wants. The political system will always take care of her. So where was she yesterday? Was she fixing youth crime in Townsville? Was she talking to the people of Toowoomba? No. She was at a Harry Styles concert last night, doing her bit to be the glam Premier, the 10 out of 10, as the pictures turned up today in the Daily Mail. Now, this is a particular notice because youth crime has not been fixed by the Premier announcing a backflip in legislation that doesn't go through the Parliament for another 2 weeks. It has not been fixed by simply removing drug possession, which will inevitably fiddle the numbers but won't change the crime. And remember when we were in Toowoomba last week, we talked about that forum, a forum of hundreds of people who decided to turn up to talk about how bad crime is in that particular town. The Premier didn't have time to turn up to that, but she had time for Harry Styles, something noticed by at least one local MP.
It's a red alert for this community at the moment, and while the Premier's walking the red carpet, this community is being torn apart. A Premier who couldn't find 90 minutes on a weeknight to travel to Toowoomba last week to attend a crime forum, but could conveniently drive down the Gold Coast to go to a Harry Styles concert. It's about priorities, and it's about sending the message to this community that they actually care and are listening.
It's a bit like the crime in Alice Springs. Terrible a few weeks ago, still terrible tonight, but the Facebook pages that tell you about that crime have, of course, been shut down. Anthony Albanese spent more time flying to and from Alice Springs than when he was in Alice Springs, and we all knew not one, not two, but 3 nights he was at the tennis. One rule for Conservatives, they say, absolutely proven at the national and the state level.